So hi everyone, this is Woman Blockchain, Justyna, welcoming you in DC, and I'm here with a very special guest who's been in the blockchain space, who has organized hackathons, and I'll let her introduce herself.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Jeannice Samani, and I am the CEO of FSG Digital Transformation Company, as well as we have a nonprofit because we believe in giving back, and that is Fifth Wave STEAM Education Initiative.
Wow, Jeannice, so thanks so much for being here with me today. You do so much work in the space. I'm very honored to be here with you. And the reason we're having this interview today in the first place is to discuss blockchain and financial literacy. And you mentioned you have already worked on that, so I'd love to get your input.
Well, I find it to be really critical. Financial literacy, I believe, is at the forefront as well as the foundation of economics. So in order for people to be successful and to move forward to build individually as well as communities, cultures, as society, if you will, and whether it's government or whether it's more personal, you need to have an understanding of finance. And in order to do that, I just said, well, why not have a hackathon? Why not open it up to the world, open it up to generations, if you will? So it wasn't any particular age. And we got together in a hackathon format. We had a pre-talk to understand exactly what financial literacy was. But most importantly, I connected it to something that was critical in the Maslow's law, which is food. If you don't understand where your next meal is coming from or why there isn't a grocery store in your neighborhood, this gave us an opportunity to open up that thought process about how to connect food with financial literacy and the value that it brings to the individual and to society. So we had a hackathon in 2022, and it was fantastic because it was open to the global community, and we focused on allowing for people to come into that space with no coding. So it didn't matter at what level they came in, and we had our orientation so they could understand. We provided a platform in which they could actually come on and have mentors, connect, build a community and an ecosystem, and then at the end of it, it was also translated in French as well as we had English. And so that opened up and level set in many instances just the opportunity and the access, if you will, to that experience of innovation. And the team that won, I have to tell you, the team that won was a middle school team. We had college students, we had professionals. It was incredible. But a middle school team won from South Africa. And they actually created what I would call is a full 360 supply chain solution for food insecurity in South Africa.
Wow, you know, that's actually what I want to do my master's in.
Fantastic.
Supply chain insecurity and
Yes.
AI.
Yes. Oh, fascinating.
Absolutely, but that aside for the moment. What I wanted to ask you next is, I understand you went into Maslow, I understand you made it inclusive, I even feel like you broke down barriers by doing it and, you know, level setting it in different languages. How do you feel the gaming aspect of money will affect the financial literacy as well?
Well, I think it's fun. I mean, it gets you involved, and it also spars on competition. It gives you a sense of, if I do more, what else can I bring to the table? And it gives you an opportunity to actually accelerate and to push oneself. So sometimes we can compete against others, but it also allows us to compete with ourselves. Can I learn more? Can I do more? Can I be more? And what value does that bring? So I think it would be quite intriguing with a ladder board or something of that nature.
Yeah, so we're actually building that out into our websites, having the leaderboard to put like the gamification and then showing who's doing well and how, you know, how people are playing. So that's for sure. The data aspect, like you said, is interesting because it gets the competition going. I want to know how you get the people engaged when you do these hackathons to ensure that the learning is immersive.
Oh, good question. Really? And it's not difficult. It's a matter of, someone began to share how we went through the process of the hackathon. And I believe that that truly was the secret sauce. So I'm kind of sharing just a little bit with you, is that we had an orientation whereby we were actually able to bring in individuals into a very secure space that they could learn and hear from people from around the world that look like them or didn't look like them, that sound like them but may not have sound like them. So we had someone from Europe that is a dear colleague and on our advisory board that actually provides a mindset shifting exercise and spoke about how we need to think differently, and if we think differently, how we can utilize our different thoughts. So that was a great opportunity. We also brought in someone that focused on a PhD student that focused on agriculture, because I truly have felt that part of the food security and the literacy and the understanding the value of food in an economic sense was because we need to think about food to table. What does it mean from a seed to the actual harvest, and from the harvest to the actual farmer, and from the farmer to market? So we brought in an actual PhD student that was studying some of that area, and then I layered it into the blockchain space, which gave it that whole supply chain concept. And then we brought in an expert from IBM that also worked on the chain for many, many years, a dear colleague of mine. And so that was a great setting the stage, if you will, and got people interested. Wow, I could really see how this could happen. And you don't have to have coding, or a low code even. So it was a great experience. And then the next day we actually had our full session. I taught a class in blockchain, which I've been teaching for 5 years. So it was a great opportunity for people to understand what exactly was blockchain, and then providing case studies so they could see themselves and see their businesses or businesses that they utilize or frequent. They could understand those concepts and to put into perspective exactly, well, how can I change this to really begin to think about if I'm going to buy a car, because the automotive industry was one case study. If I'm going to buy a car, what is the value of that car? How does that literacy, that financial literacy about the value of the car and how we utilize the chain and our finances, they were pulling everything together. So it was a lot of cognitive development, it was a lot of thinking, it was a lot of personal desire and interest in exactly what they wanted to buy.
Excellent. It sounds very immersive, and I also like how you allowed people from different levels of coding to participate. Have you ever thought about AI in your workshops?
Oh, absolutely. Because after digital transformation, AI is at the cornerstone. AI, ML, machine learning, deeper learning. Absolutely. AI allows for us to think on a different level. It allows to upscale. And in some contexts, you may have, if you want to separate the machine learning aspect, the repetitive, the what ifs, that allows for us to think in a different context. So we could look at that virtual space, the AI space, and take it out of the here and now and into a full contextual, maybe Web3 context. And so who knows what could come from it? We haven't done it yet. I know you're on the precipice of doing it. I want to be a part of it because I think it's going to be exciting. If we could really bring in that AI world where people could be their full selves in that space, then they could actually create without biases. They could create without hesitation. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the unpeeling, to really happen. And I believe very truly that in Web3, we can really level set that way.
Yeah, I like what you said earlier about creating the safe space in the first place, right?
Yes.
So I think going back to what you said and the needs, one of the first needs is also shelter, right?
Yes.
So I think setting the stage for that idea to come in, if someone is in that safe space, they can get creative.
Absolutely.
Right? So that leads to the creativity, the flow of ideas. So it seems like, and it's interesting how what you said earlier too, when you set up that someone coming in to do that mental shift, that when you can shift a room like that, that means all those people can completely, you'll get a whole different level of ideas you may not have predicted before.
Absolutely. And quite often people are individuals, you, I, are always thinking within a certain parameter. That's how we're trained, that's how we learned. But to think outside of the box is to allow yourself to be or to take form however you'd like to take that form. So if you could imagine in an AI space actually having a persona or avatar that looks like you but may not look like you directly, and they could actually take on that persona that brings them to another level, another way of thinking, to say, well, it's me, and you don't have as much hesitation about making those decisions or innovation, developing a particular product, idea, concept, and really putting it out there because the judgment is gone.
And do you think that also, going back to financial literacy, being in that space aids people change their concepts of financial literacy? Maybe when they've gone in, they had one concept and they can walk out and they can completely see things differently.
Absolutely. I think there's a value shift. There's a value shift. It allows, when you put your ideas and concepts into real thought without judgment, quite often we can begin to say, well, perhaps that idea would work, right? And it doesn't make you apprehensive from trying. And that's the beauty, is that you could try in these spaces, you could try in these dynamics without judgment, and innovation actually does occur.
I love it. I love it. Thanks for what you're doing. Such a pleasure to have you here today, and I look forward to further collaborating with you.
Me too.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.